Welcome back into Got It Covered. December has finally dawned us. Giovanni Heater alongside Raza Umarani with you. It's been far too long, my friends, but we're back. We're talking college football. And Raza, since we last recorded a show, the state of college football is in a place that, quite frankly, I didn't know it would ever get to, right? Recapping what's going on. James Franklin, after being fired at Penn State, is turning Virginia Tech into a future ACC juggernaut. Lane Kiffin will not coach in the playoffs at Ole Miss because he just took the job at Louisiana State University. Syracuse is signing multi-platinum 25-year-old recording artist rappers to their football program, and the Crumble Cookie owner is making sure of it that BYU is a mainstay in the Big 12 and not messing with the Penn State Nittany Lions. That's just a little bit of the chaos that has transpired in this beautiful sport that we've come to love here.
Well, I think you and I have learned a valuable lesson. That's don't let, business trips or holidays or anything like that get in the way of covering college football multiple times a week because you cannot take a day off in this freaking sport. I mean, dude, between a month ago talking about crumble cookies or like suits and shirts on the runway of an airport and all this other would mean like nothing. So we'd be like, what do you mean Lane Kiffin's clothes the Ole Miss left Lane Kiffin's clothes out on the runway? Like, what are you talking about? And now it's like that's all I see when I open Twitter, the crumble cookie thing. Like, oh my goodness, it's been a whirlwind. I think a lot of this has to do with the fact that college football schedule, in terms of when things happen, is just in a bad spot. And maybe that's a conversation for another time, but it makes for tremendous theater. So
Yeah.
let's break it down because there's a lot we got to get to.
So we came into this saying we're just going to basically have an open dialogue and catch up on the landscape of college football right now. Coming up later this week, we want to do a full-blown preview of the conference championship. So definitely be on the lookout for that. And there's plenty to talk about when it comes to the conference title games, how it's going to impact the playoffs. We certainly might get into a little bit of playoff discussion here because it is the most pressing matter in college football right now. But I guess I ask you, man, where do you want to start? Like, who is Penn State going to hire as its head coach? What is going on? That's going to go down as the most catastrophic mistake in the history of the sport, firing James Franklin.
One of, for sure. I think it's the old, the song Big Yellow Taxi?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone, right?
Yeah.
I would start with Lane Kiffin.
All right, let's do it.
I think that is the biggest story of the last couple of weeks. Obviously, it all came to a head very quickly. I hate to do this. I really hate to do this, but I have to.
Let's hear it.
I told you so.
You
You
did.
were dead set that this guy was gonna stay, and I was like, if a big job comes calling, and I know for a while we thought it was gonna be Florida. And then to your credit, I think the Florida thing waned very quickly. I know they were like in it until the last week, but I don't think it was ever an option for Lane to go to Florida. And I know previously I was like, oh yeah, like Summerall or whatever is going to go to LSU. But in the last couple of weeks, this thing really picked up steam and it became obvious that was going to be the case. When they put out a statement that was like, we're going to make a decision on Lane Kiffin's future after the Egg Bowl, I was like, what?
Yeah.
And then the whole week leading up to the Egg Bowl, everybody knew the writing was on the wall. But I got to say, I think the situation was handled extremely poorly. To get the obvious out of the way, it's a tremendous hire by LSU. They're gonna be. I think they should be better under Kiffin than they were under Kelly. I think Kiffin understands the circumstances a little better. It's his third SEC job. I think they're going to be great, and I think their offense is going to be back to being a watchable product. At least I would certainly hope so. But the more nuanced part of all this is just how this situation was handled both by Lane Kiffin himself and by the Ole Miss administration. Like, this was a soap opera. I mean, Kiffin comes out with the statement like on his social media that's like, I wanted to coach the team, but they wouldn't let me. And then the administration's like, that's not what happened. Like, you're leaving and you were giving your coaches an ultimatum saying like, be there with me on the plane or I'm leaving you behind.
Right.
I gotta say, from Ole Miss's perspective, I think they've handled this pretty well. Like, they've gotten Golding out there and made him the poster boy and all this other stuff, and I think that's really good. And they're making Lane out to be public enemy number one, which I think is fair. I think the reaction by the Ole Miss fan base is extremely fair, and I want to pass the baton to you, but I just want to say really quickly, Scott Van Pelt nailed this on the head the other day when I was watching. I think it was Sunday night, right, when he got hired, because the Commanders played on Sunday Night Football, and then I flipped to ESPN for SVP's coverage of the post game, and he was talking to some college football head. I don't remember which one, and he was like, "This is like if if your wife cheats on you with the neighbor and is like." Yeah, I'm leaving you for our neighbor, but is it cool if I stay here and celebrate Christmas with you and the kids and everything, and then I'll go move down the street and live with our neighbor?
Wow.
Like no, if you're gonna leave, just leave now and be done. I don't want you to be around the kids. I don't want you to celebrate Christmas here. And I
Right.
think SVP, God bless his soul, perfectly
That's
nailed
a
this
really good
situation.
analogy. Yeah, no, that's a brilliant analogy by Scott Van Pelt, and I hadn't heard that one. Listen, man, the thing that I hate with it, because I love the theater of it, I love the drama of it. You're right. It's so much like a soap opera. The thing that I hate about the whole thing is the timeline of it, right? And I
Mhm,
know the timeline has supplied the theater of it, but to your point, you were right. I thought Lane was going to stay at Ole Miss when we talked a month and a half ago, right? But I did say to you, he's not going to Florida. Now that LSU is a part of the
mhm.
conversation, now I could certainly see that being a place that he leaves for, because we talked about LSU. I mean, Lane even said it in his press conference. He
It's
said
the
it's the
best
best
job.
job in the country. And it very well might be. It's top 3, might be top 1, depending on who you talk to, and you're splitting atoms at that point, right? When you talk about the elites of the elites in college football. So I understand the sentiment from that perspective. What I hate about it is, if you're Lane, right? He even said money doesn't matter, and like, let's get real. There's no way that's a true reality. Maybe it is at a
No.
place like LSU, but let's get real, right?
I mean,
Also,
but
we know who his
he got
agent is.
I was just about to say
Right.
that. And
You,
they
you
got 13 a year.
right.
Like,
You
you
know
don't
Jimmy
turn down
Sexton cares
13 a
what the
year.
dollar amount is.
Yes.
Right.
All agents do.
Of course,
Let's not get
that's
it
their
twisted.
job. I hope
Exactly.
my agent plays that game someday.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the game. But the thing about it is, okay, you're leaving this mountaintop that you've built this steady climb towards. It's been a 6-year journey at Ole Miss in hopes to get back there at a different place. And it's like, do I think they're going to get there at LSU? Of course I do. I think Lane Kiffin's going to be a mainstay. The Tigers will be in the playoffs year after year. They're going to be like Ohio State and Georgia and these schools that are going to be in a 12-team format every year, right? But it was so bizarre. They had never been to the playoff before.
Mm-mm.
And you spend all this time and energy to get there, and then this is the time to walk out. And it's like, it wasn't even a situation like James Franklin at Virginia Tech, where, okay, we're going to get a 2-week head start before signing day, and we can really like put a class together and really draw some guys. Now LSU got some late flips and whatnot today, and I'm sure that'll continue as the day moves along. But the timeline of it is like, dude, you might as well have just finished it up,
Mhm.
because what head start were you getting yourself at this point?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I hate it for the kids at Ole Miss. And
Yes.
I know some of them are probably going to end up at LSU. Like, that's just the reality of it nowadays. But it's just like, they're the ones forgotten in this whole thing. Notice how everybody's talking about Lane bailing on the team, and, oh, he wanted to coach, but the athletic department told him that he couldn't, and this and that. And like, nobody's talking about these kids invest everything. Like, football is their life. Ole Miss football is everything they have
Mhm.
to go to the playoff, and they're good, man. I thought they were going to have a good shot to make a little bit of a noise, possibly. I'm not saying they're going to win the national championship. They're good. I don't think that all goes away without Lane Kiffin, but like the entire offensive staff is gone. You know,
Like, I think it does go away. Like, now,
very well
granted,
might.
they were what, the 6 in last night's playoff rankings, which means they're probably gonna be the 6. Like, they're 5 through 7 is their range, so they're going to host
Right.
a first round game,
Right.
and I mean, shoot, if a couple things go their way, they could have a bye in the first round, right? So, like, they're gonna be in a
Without a
situation.
conference title, you think?
Yeah, if Bama beats Georgia, I mean, do you have Bama jump? I mean, and maybe, like, if Indiana gets
Play.
crushed, they drop from, like, 2 to 5. If Texas Tech
Yeah.
loses, they're out. So then you're like, I'm just saying there's a world where your first round buys are like Ohio State, Georgia, uh, Indiana, or sorry, Oregon and Ole Miss. Now, granted, I don't think
Yeah.
they put Oregon above Indiana because they lost them, but that's a
Right.
conversation for later in the week. The point is, like, they're set up in a position to succeed in the playoff.
Sure.
Because let's say, for example, they're the 6 and they host Tulane in the first round, or Virginia. Let's say that's a cakewalk. And then you go to the second round and you're not playing Ohio State in the quarterfinal. You could be playing Indiana, and Indiana versus Ole Miss on a neutral site at full strength. Ole Miss with Lane and everybody there could be favored in that game. Like, Vegas really respects Indiana, and I appreciate that. But that would be a winnable game for Ole Miss, and then boom, you could be in the semifinal just like that, really competing for a national title. Now it's going out the window. I still think they should win in the first round, regardless of who they play, especially if they're 5 or 6 and they wind up playing either Virginia or North Texas, Tulane, James Madison, God forbid.
Go Dukes.
So they're gonna win a playoff game, I think. But you're right; they could have made noise in a year where last year I get the different format, but the national championship was a 7 against the 8.
Right.
Like, they really could have done something.
Okay. Well, it seems it's very clear your thoughts on this, but is there a world, and for full transparency, I don't think it's going to happen. I think you're comparing apples to oranges. It's not the same scenario. Is there a world where Ole Miss gets left out of this thing because they're looking at it as a
No,
committee, like they're so depleted? Because I know it's not the same as Florida State a couple of years back, who was undefeated. You lose Jordan Travis and they leave him out. That's a 4-team format, not a 12. But when you lose the entire offensive staff, you lose Lane Kiffin. Here's my thought. Coaches are not as important as players, one. And two, it's a 12-team format. Like, there's just no world where it would be even possible to drop them out of that.
no, I haven't even thought about that.
It's a conversation people are having, though.
No, I think that would be asinine.
It'd be
Uh,
disgraceful.
because I mean, I don't even think I need to explain it. I think that'd be crazy.
It would.
The Florida State thing, listen, I mean, I still stand by that was the right decision. Like,
Florida
so
State
I
would
would,
have been hosed.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, they got jobbed by the committee. There's no doubt about it. But, like,
did.
that was a necessary evil, in my opinion. I supported it. I said, regardless of whether or not they beat Louisville, they should be left out if Bama beats Georgia. That's exactly what happened. Like, I still stand by that decision. This one would be another level of bad.
Yeah. No, I agree with you there. Where do we want to take the conversation now? What direction should we spin? Is Texas getting into the playoff? Absolutely not.
No. I think it's tough for them with 3 losses. I think the interesting conversation is, what do you do with the muck in the middle of the teams? Because, like, dude, listen, if it was up to me, man, Oklahoma would not make the college football playoff. And I know we can't do that because they're
They're too highly
Oklahoma.
ranked now.
They're Oklahoma and they're in the SEC and they beat Alabama.
That was an impressive win.
It was. It most certainly was.
It was
And
one
I'm
of the
not,
more impressive wins by any team this year, I think.
which is really strange because, yeah, they went on the road and beat Tennessee and all this stuff, but they just played their competition, Oklahoma. So they're going to be an interesting team in the playoff. They're a total
Sure.
wild card. But, like, if it was up to me, man, I would have Vanderbilt in this thing, and I would have Miami and Notre Dame in this thing. and I could argue to have Utah in this thing. Like,
Well, now you're looking at a 16-team format, home dog.
I know, but I'm saying I don't think Oklahoma's a playoff caliber team. I would get them the heck out of here. I don't think Virginia should go. I don't think Tulane should go. I don't think I'm an elitist. I don't give a crap
I
about
know.
group of 5 teams. Like, I'm sorry.
I know.
I mean, I do, and I was a big supporter of Boise State last year, but like, I don't think the 5. I don't believe in these automatic qualifiers anymore. Like, I think the goal is to get the 12 best teams in the playoff, and like, I think Vanderbilt's one of the 12 best teams in the country, and I don't think I thought that like 3 weeks ago, but like, dude, they crushed Tennessee in Neyland Stadium.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't happen in that rivalry. They've won 10 games for the first time in program history. Clark Lee is like an absolute, will never buy a drink in Nashville ever. Like, you don't think that team deserves a shot? And like, the Miami Notre Dame thing is hilarious. You don't think both teams deserve a shot? We're going to live in a world where one of them doesn't go. Like, does Bama really deserve to go? Did they deserve to get bumped above Notre Dame because they beat Auburn? Like, I don't know. Like, low key, if it was up to me, I would not put Bama or Oklahoma in this, John, and I would send Vanderbilt in Miami.
Nothing. I will say this: nothing about Notre Dame's resume impresses me. If
Well,
there's
no,
a
they
team
lost their only 2 games against good teams,
right?
and they
If there's
now
a
Notre
team
Dame
that I
fans
don't
are going to
feel
try to
bad
convince
for,
you. I would not feel bad if Notre Dame got
I
left
wouldn't
out.
feel
In
bad
fact,
for them at all.
I want Notre Dame to get left out in favor of Miami, but I know it's not going to happen. I just think it's an insane movement of the goalposts that the committee, we've talked about it since we reacted to the first rankings. The committee values these head-to-heads so much because teams are in similar circumstances, and the one differentiator is the game they played head-to-head. Well, why is Notre Dame 2, 3, 4 spots ahead of Miami when Miami beat them?
Dude, if Notre Dame gets in over Miami, and I know it's probably going to happen that way, like, there's serious flaws with it, because at some point, playing the game head to head has to matter, dude. They played. And I don't want to hear that it was week 1 or it doesn't matter as much as if they played in November. They played. And in this modern era, this isn't conference play. Even in conference play nowadays, you can't even use head to heads, and these tiebreakers are insane.
No.
You have sitting in front of you a head to head matchup where Miami pretty much belted Notre Dame and pulled its pants down until Notre Dame kind of rallied late, right? Miami controlled that football game.
They did.
The funny thing is, if they played tomorrow, I think Notre Dame would beat Miami. But I think so Notre Dame has gotten a lot better as the years gone along, particularly their defense has gotten better. CJ Carr looks good. And I think Carson Beck has gotten worse as the year has gone along.
I agree.
So
this is unrelated. Is unrelated. I wish I had a vote. I don't. If I did, Jeremiah Love would be my Heisman.
He's insane, dude.
I think there's a legit shot he's going to win it.
He's one of the best running backs. You can't compare him to like Genty. They're just completely different athletes. But like, one of the best running backs of our generation, no question.
What makes Love different is the fact that he's like 6'1", and he's such a freak. Like,
he'll jump over you.
He jumps over everybody. My comp for him is like Zeke, but Zeke was like smaller. He was very compact. I mean, he had that speed to him, but he was jumping over people. Don't get me wrong, but he's just not a freak in the way that he was a freak. Jeremiah Love is a freak.
Dude. Mine. You might have to go all the way back to like Reggie Bush for my comp. Now, Bush wasn't jumping over you, but he was making you miss, right? Freak athleticism. I don't remember, because Henry would run through you. Ingram would run through you.
I think Saquon is a one-of-a-kind running back. Like, Saquon's he's got a blend of things we've never seen before. So it's hard to compare him to Saquon. You're right about Genty. Like, Genty's just a bowling ball.
Right.
But like, Jeremiah's got the size, the strength, the speed.
Oh, dude, that play on the goal line last year.
Yeah, and I've never seen anything like that. You're right. It was.
Yeah,
I've never seen anything like that. So unrelated, but
there's the strength, right there.
He would have my vote. But like, I also think regardless of what happens on Saturday, I would put BYU in the playoff. Why is BYU not going to go if they win?
Because they're the first team out twice.
They only have the one loss. It was against Texas Tech. So if they
Right. They
beat
got
Texas
pants
Tech,
against Texas Tech. Right.
so if they beat Texas Tech on Saturday, obviously they're in no matter what if they beat Texas Tech. But like that would be avenging their loss, winning the conference. And even if they don't, like they're not going to make it because they're the first team out right now. But why? Like they've got all the metrics to support the
It's
fact that
because of
they're a
their
good
logo.
team. It's because of the logo that's on the helmet. It's because of the conference that they play in. So, like again, if it was up to me, those teams in the middle, I would send them all. I would send all of them. And by the way, why is Texas ahead of Vanderbilt?
That's
Because they
preposterous.
won head to head, right? But Texas has 3 losses where Vanderbilt has 2. So this is another example of the fact that the committee so much values the head to head thing, except for Notre Dame and Miami. And it's so blasphemous to me that like it's the one situation where they ignore it. And you're right, if the excuse is that it was week 1, that's a terrible excuse because I guarantee you if Texas was 12-0 right now, they would be number 2 behind Ohio State. Guaranteed.
Well, that would be impossible. They played.
That's a good point. If they were both 11-1. Sorry, if they were both
Okay, there you
11 and
go.
1.
There
If
you
they
go.
were both 11 and 1, they would be behind Ohio State because Ohio State beat them in week 1 and because they wear that scarlet and gray helmet. Like
Right.
it's annoying to me.
I had slight gripe with, maybe I'm a little biased and I haven't fully broke the news, so I'll kind of save it. But I have a little bit of a gripe with Texas A&M being ranked as low as they are at 7.
Yeah, they plummeted, and that makes no sense to
It
me.
doesn't make sense. I mean, they played one poor game, fine, but they're 11-1. Just comparing some resumes, these teams are all ranked higher than them. Oregon, Texas Tech, and Ole Miss are all ranked higher than them. They're all 11-1 teams, right? A&M's 7-1 in conference play. Okay, so they're all 11-1 with 7-1 or better records in conference play. Obviously,
Yeah.
Texas Tech and Oregon play one extra conference game compared to the SEC. But A&M, when you look at what they did against AP top 10 teams, they have one win against an AP top 10. Oregon has 0. Texas Tech has 0. Ole Miss has 1. Fine. Wins against AP top 25 teams. Texas A&M has 2. Oregon has 1. Texas Tech has 2. Ole Miss has 2. Okay, fine. Wins against Sagarin top 30 teams. Texas A&M has 5. Oregon has 4. Texas Tech has 2. Ole Miss has 3. Strength of record, strength of schedule 15, Oregon 16, Texas Tech 59th, Ole Miss 40th. It's like every single number I just listed, they're higher than those teams. It's like a recency bias thing because they lost the last week of the year.
Right. And I gotta say, I wish they used the Sagarin ratings to make the college
Is
football
that how you
playoff
say that?
rankings.
My bad.
That's how I've always said it. I don't know what's correct though. Because that's like the football equivalent of Ken Palm.
Right.
But I know that they
Or
don't.
Bart Torvik.
That's right, the Bart Torvik.
Right.
I think they should have been no lower than 6 because
Yeah.
I think the argument you have that Ole Miss is above them is, oh well, their 1 losses to Georgia and they're in the top 3, and then with Oregon, their 1 losses to Indiana and they're in the top 3. Texas Tech makes sense. I know they lost to Arizona State, and Arizona State's not very good, but like other than that, they've been insane, and their offense is one of the best in the country. But
Same could be said for Texas A&M. Look at the teams they beat on the road. I mean, they just
yeah, it's the SEC.
Yeah.
But I think A&M got a very fortuitous schedule. Like all those teams in the top 10 have played each other.
Yeah.
Texas A&M hasn't played any of them,
And they would have this
except for
weekend if they didn't flub it
that's
up.
right. That's right. They did beat Notre Dame, but like the fact that in the SEC they avoided Bama, Oklahoma, Georgia, Ole Miss and even Vanderbilt is like insane. They only played Texas, and they lost. So I think
Yeah.
that's the knock on Texas
I mean,
A&M.
Missouri was good throughout the year. LSU was
That's true.
good throughout the year. They still play. I mean, you got to play the schedule you're given. Like when you get the
Yeah,
schedule, that trip to Death Valley was supposed to be a huge game. That trip to
right.
Missouri, that was when Missouri was still good. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But I hear you.
Yeah. It's just I think that is the rationale by the committee, is that like they finally were tested and they lost.
Yeah.
I still think Texas A&M is very good. I'm listen, I like Alabama, Georgia playing each other as much as the next person, but I really wanted to see some fresh blood in Atlanta.
It would have
Like
been nice to see A&M there, man.
it would have. It also would have been nice to see Ole Miss there, even though I know Lane wouldn't have coached. Like it's just Bama, Georgia every damn year.
Yeah.
Every year. I know last year it was Georgia, Texas, which was like fair enough because it was Texas's first year, and that was refreshing.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to see the same helmets every year in Atlanta, even though I know those teams are fantastic. Like I've seen Bama, Georgia play each other in the title game, like 6 times now.
I will say it will have that vintage feel to it. Well, vintage for our generation.
It will.
I
It
mean,
will.
it's funny
I'll
to call
always
it vintage, even though it's pretty recent in the grand scheme of things. But
It is, but I'll always think back to that 2012 game, where I forget the receiver, but he dropped it or he caught it instead of letting it fall and the clock ran out like that. When I was growing up, that was the OG 2019 LSU Alabama game. Was the 2012 SEC championship game.
yeah,
That will always be the Georgia Alabama game I think of personally. I know a lot of people think of the Tua game or like the other national championship or whatever it might have been, but like
I
that
even
will
low key
always be
think
the
of
game for me.
honestly, weirdly enough, maybe it's just a recency thing. When I think Alabama, Georgia, I think of
Ryan Williams.
probably when Milroe got them back into the playoff by winning the SEC
Oh,
championship.
true.
You know what I'm saying?
True. Yeah, that's a good
Yeah,
point
not Ryan
too.
Williams, not last year. Okay, that's where you were going with that. No, not the
But the
big
year
catch.
the
That
year
was sick.
before.
No, I think maybe just because it's the SEC championship. That was such a big win for Alabama.
Mhm.
I mean, obviously they had to do it to get into the playoff, and it booted Georgia, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Which is
So I mean, it
crazy.
was
I don't
huge.
wanna keep rehashing 2023, but Georgia should have made the college football playoff too over Florida State, and like that it's whatever. It's why they expand. It's not why they expanded. They were expanding no matter what, but it would have been a hell of a year to have the 12-team playoff. Because remember also like Oregon was really good that year with Bo Nix and they got left out.
Yeah.
Um and Ohio State was good that year and they got left out. So a whole lot of nonsense. But I think they're going to get the 12 teams in with like little to no controversy. I think Miami. I don't think Miami can get in, and that's a shame. Because I think the fact that Notre Dame's going to go and Miami isn't is like just it doesn't piss me off too much personally because we both think Notre Dame would beat Miami today. It just it pisses me off on a technical level because it's very hypocritical on the part of the
Yeah.
committee.
Oh, it makes
Not,
me mad. It makes me mad because I think even though it's like funny, like you hate Clemson and Miami and those schools when it's an ACC game, but then when they're representing the conference on the national scale, you're the biggest Miami fan out there, right? It
mhm.
it ticks me off that it's going to be another year where the ACC, this is the worst the ACC has ever looked on a national stage, period. And it's like the head to head has to mean something. That's where I'm upset. They played.
Anything.
It
Like,
should
why schedule the
it
game
should
in the
matter
first place?
more. It should matter more than any other metric, period. They played the game. Everything else is hypothetical, essentially, right?
Mhm.
That's the only tangible piece of evidence you have is that they played a game against each other and one team won and the other didn't.
It's
And
that
then their
simple.
resume from there on out is pretty freaking comparable. I'd actually argue that Miami played a tougher schedule the rest of the way outside of A&M for like I think
Yeah, I mean,
SMU like look at the teams out of the ACC Notre Dame played. Who do they play? Pitt, right? They played Pitt,
yeah,
NC State. Give me a freaking break. At least
yeah,
Miami played
Syracuse.
SMU. Yeah, Syracuse. Don't even get me started.
Their
Miami.
toughest game was Southern Cal. That was their toughest game. Which, like,
Miami,
fair. That was a tough game.
fine.
But that's it. Like, oh, look at us. We're Notre Dame. We play Syracuse and Navy every year. Like, dude, give me a break.
Southern
Stop.
Cal might as well be. I mean, I don't know. Miami still played Louisville, lost. Played SMU, beat
Lost.
SMU. No, they lost to SMU. You're right. Jesus. I mean, they do have a couple of not great losses.
That's right. Like Notre Dame's argument is, oh, look at our losses are better than Miami's, but one of your losses is Miami. So, like, what do? I would take. Listen,
I'd take
if
Miami.
if you're taking the 12 best teams, I'm taking Notre Dame. But if you're following the criteria you've set the whole year, you have to take Miami. You have to.
What do we do if Duke wins the ACC championship on Saturday?
Blow up the league,
Like,
nuke the whole generation.
No, it's just perfect time for James Franklin to be getting into the conference.
That's true. And, like, I think Tech's going to be fine regardless. But, like, if Duke wins that game, which is a real possibility, by the way, you think Duke's defense
is nobody going to get in?
No one will get in. Yeah. If
there's
Duke's
no way Miami gets in?
No, because you're just replacing Virginia with James Madison. I think the only way Miami gets in is Miami's ranked lower than
James Madison.
Miami's ranked lower than BYU anyways. Like, they have an uphill climb no matter what. Now, granted, so Miami needs BYU to lose to Texas Tech. They need Virginia to lose to to Duke, but they also need James Madison to lose to Troy.
Why though? James Madison's 25th right now.
Because you need any and all opportunity to get in. I think.
But isn't it?
So do they just need Duke and Texas Tech to win?
Right. Why does Miami's ranked higher than James Madison by a significant margin? Would James Madison, they wouldn't pull an AQ?
Yes, they would. If Duke beats Virginia, they would.
Is there a world where Duke gets into this thing?
No.
I mean, they're 6-5. They're 6-6.
Yeah.
What are they? 7-5?
7-5. Don't even have a vote in the AP poll. It's Virginia or nothing for the ACC.
They need to fix the ACC just to get out of its own way. Needs to implement a tiebreaker where it's just like the two highest ranked teams play each other or something. Like, that tiebreaker is ridiculous. And the fact that Duke did it, like, we're looking at these tiebreakers and we're like, that's not gonna, like, there's no way Duke's gonna play for the conference. And then it
all happened. It all happened.
Duke, insane.
Sorry, the ACC should have stepped in like the Big Ten did in 2020. Because remember how in 2020 when the Big Ten came back late in the season, was like, yeah, we're actually going to play. Here's our criteria for who can make the title game. And it was like, if you miss a certain amount of games due to COVID, you can't go. And right. Ohio State missed so many games because of COVID, but they were like, no, but we need Ohio State to make the playoffs. So we're actually going to retroactively change our criteria and put Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game, which they almost lost to Northwestern.
That's right.
But they beat Northwestern to go to the playoff. The ACC should have stepped in and done something like that. Been like, sorry, we are not sending Duke to Charlotte. We're sending Miami, and then Miami can get in with an AQ.
That would have had its fair share of backlash as well, though.
True, but like,
because
I get that it was COVID, but the same thing happened in this decade.
Yeah, but you just said that the committee has to play by the guidelines they've set in place. You can't implement.
No. The problem is the committee has no guidelines. There is no set criteria. They just go on vibes. The ACC does have criteria. The ACC does have criteria, which is fair. But the problem with the committee, the fact that we're even in this position in the first place, is because they say that like these are the things we take into account, and that's it. Then we don't know how the sausage gets made. And then when they ask the chair, whatever is happening, he's like, oh, he's lost up there. So,
you know what was my number one album on Spotify? Just guess.
Well, this will have to do with what we're talking about.
It was Hamilton. It was Hamilton. Which is fat. And the reason for that is definitely because every time I'm driving to a broadcast, I rap to Hamilton because it's PG, right? So I'm not like having bad words fluctuating through but it just gets the mind mouth connection going. And it's my warm up, right? So from that being played all the time when I'm driving to a broadcast, it turned into my number one, which is funny. But the reason I say that is like, no, like the song, The Room Where It Happened, that is the committee to a
That is
T.
100%. Did you know that
We just lost so many viewers when we got into that
I
conversation.
I know, and I'm gonna lose some more. Did you know that so in PG-13 movies you're allowed one F-bomb, but
Right.
Hamilton has two, so they had to censor both of them to make it PG-13 to put on Disney Plus. Did you know that?
I did know that, actually. I did, and I was very disappointed watching it. I'm like, they're so impactful. Like,
They
curse
are.
words like that are so impactful when you use them sparingly, and there's a reason there's only 2 of them in Hamilton, and they're so impactful when they're used. Yeah.
Mhm.
Dude, when I saw Hamilton live, for the first time ever, the Broadway tour came to Cuse earlier this fall. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable. But the whole place went bonkers when they're like, Southern mother Democratic Republicans. The place goes insane. I was like, that was insane. That was so hype. Yeah, we just lost everybody. If you're still
Probably.
here, if you're still
Probably.
here, where do we go from here? I keep the conversation rolling for a couple more minutes.
Well,
Or did we do it all? If we did it all, that's fine too.
I mean, that's the big stuff. James Franklin, you've done miracles on me. You've
You
done miracles on me.
you've saved my school. You've
Literally.
saved my institution.
I mean,
I've
every
never
day
been prouder to be a Virginia Tech alum.
every day on my Instagram, it's 5 4-stars.
It's insane.
Like, I had a friend text me. It made me laugh out loud. He was like, Hayes Fawcett has never had to make so many Virginia Tech graphics in his life
Facts.
until this week. So Hayes, I hope you liked Chicago Maroon and Burnt Orange. So I'm very excited for the future of Tech football. And this is just signing day. Like, who knows what the portal looks like? Who knows if they get some other guys to flip down the road. It's going to be a very interesting 6 months or so in Blacksburg. I guess I'll ask you really quickly, just because I touched on it earlier. Who would have your Heisman vote? Like, what would your ballot look like? Your top 4?
Well, Marcel Reed played himself right out of the conversation,
He did.
unfortunately.
He did.
Just wasn't good against Texas, obviously. And then you have the late interceptions. I know you're trying to make a play, but he's out of it for me. It's so tough. Honestly, who do I think is the most valuable to their team? And I know it's not an MVP, right? It's the Heisman. It's not the National Football League. So you can't treat it like a most valuable player. You have to treat it like who's the best player in college football. But if it was an MVP, I don't know that there's anybody more valuable than Fernando Mendoza. I still would love to see him win it. Some mix of, okay, if I had to pick the 4 guys to go, I'm going Jeremiah Love. I still want to throw Ty Simpson in there, bro.
You got to be kidding me,
dude. We'll see.
No,
well,
he's had a dreadful.
It's been a bad month.
6 weeks.
Been a bad month. I
mean, what, he had like 5 straight games with a fumble or something like that. Like, he's completely tanked his stock.
And the problem is too, it's based on the regular season, right? So he could ball out this weekend and it doesn't matter.
And remember when they played whoever it was on like Chattanooga or whatever on their SEC bye week, and he was like had 2 interceptions. It was awful.
That's true. All right, get Ty.
I don't even remember who it was.
I'll go Jeremiah Love, Fernando. Marcel Reed's out of it. I mean, who's even the front runner right now?
It's either Mendoza or Sayin.
Yeah, Sayin's got to be in there at this point. I mean, dude, I had Jeremiah Smith in there in the preseason. He's been popping off the last month. I don't think he's got Heisman numbers, but
no, but
Sayin's probably in there. And
he
then
could go.
I mean, could Dante Moore still go?
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe I'll throw Dante Moore in there. I do think Oregon's got a run in them, especially if the bracket plays. No. I don't know. I also think that linebacker from Texas Tech should go. I don't know if he's going.
I don't know about that.
You don't like you don't want Rodriguez in there?
Well, I just think it's weird. They kept trying to pad his stat with passing touchdowns like he's freaking J.J. Watt in 2014. He threw an interception on the goal line the other day against whoever they played. So, and then who would your winner be? Mendoza?
Point, probably Mendoza, but I wouldn't be shocked if it was Jeremiah Love. It kind of feels like a 2-horse race at this point.
Yeah, between the quarterback. It kind of feels like whoever wins on Saturday gets it. That would be my ballot. I would still give it to Love no matter what, because I think you give it to the best player in the sport.
Okay.
And I
Oh, so you
understand we
think
don't always do
Sayan's
that.
in the race?
Yeah,
I
I do.
I feel
100%.
yeah, he really has. I was thinking a two-horse race between Love and Mendoza, but it is
No, I'm
fascinating to
saying
think
I think there's a real shot the winner of the Big Ten championship game, their
gets it.
quarterback wins the Heisman Trophy.
As
Like,
they
that's an
should.
underrated
They'd be
storyline to the Big Ten
undefeated.
title game. Exactly, and they
They'd
would
be
have beat the
undefeated.
other one,
Right.
you know? And I know a lot of people vote before championship weekend. I respectfully don't like
I
you if you vote before
yeah,
championship
yeah.
weekend. Um, but like again, last year I thought Genty was the best player in the sport and he didn't get it. So my winner would be Love. My runner-up would be the winner of the Sayan Mendoza Heisman Bowl. My third place would be the loser of the Sayan Mendoza Heisman Bowl.
So
And
who else is sitting in New York?
you're gonna hate me for this, but if my fourth place vote would go to Diego Pavia, like I just think that what they've done and his individual production. I don't think he's the best player necessarily, but it's really hard to argue with his production. Like he had 6 touchdowns a couple weeks ago against whoever it was. I forget. Maybe it wasn't the Missouri game, but it was
My
well,
sweet
there's
king.
Marcel Reed.
My sweet king.
Dude, I wish he would have gone. If they beat Texas, he would
Dude.
have been a finalist.
Wow, yeah, I mean, he also played dreadful. It's crazy because he played horrid. One of the worst performances I've ever seen. Well, I don't know. I've watched a lot of Syracuse football this year,
That's true.
but he played really bad in the first half against South Carolina, and then turned around and his numbers were insane. He threw for over 500 yards and like 4 touchdowns, and he was like bonkers in the second half. They obviously complete the largest comeback since the 90s in SEC history and whatnot. It was insane game to be at. That felt like could have had Heisman juice to it, but yeah, then he
Yep.
falls apart against Texas. I will say A&M did an unreal job of campaigning for him, just
They
like
did.
Texas Tech did an unreal job of campaigning for Rodriguez. Like
They did.
A&M did these things that they had a whole campaign. It was like Marcel mode, Marcel for Heisman, like they did a lot to hype him up for the Heisman. They keep doing this thing. It's called Marcel mode or whatever, and that was like his Heisman campaign. It's pretty nuts.
It's very cool, and I want him to go. You and I both love Marcel Reed, so
He won't. There's no.
it,
I don't know. The silver lining is they get to play football in December at Kyle Field.
that's true.
I mean, obviously
Do you
they'd like
want
to win an SEC title, but
do you want to quickly say why Marcel Reed is your king? Why Marcel Reed's your glorious hero?
nah, I gotta save it. I gotta save it.
Okay, we'll save it. We'll
I
save
gotta
it.
save it. It's
We'll
gotta
do
hit.
a big
It's gotta hit the
exactly.
socials and whatnot.
It's got to do. It's got to be.
I
a
mean,
big,
you can use your context clues at this point.
yeah. Use your noodle.
Use your noodle. Gig 'em. I love college football, bro, and I love you.
It's the best. It's the best. College football. There ain't nothing like it. There's nothing like it on this planet.
So let's later this week, let's rally up in conference championship previews. Because
Yes.
all right, as much as we want to hate on Alabama, Georgia, like
It's gonna be cinema.
the
I'm
lineup,
gonna be
the
there.
lineup this weekend is.
We get 1v2 for the first time,
and game day's not going, which is
and I don't even know how long. Yeah, that is ridiculous. So, I'll try and finish the spreadsheet by the time we get there, so we can display it on screen. It's gonna give people epilepsy, but it's
I
fine.
love it.
So yeah, I'm thrilled. It's the most fun. It's the most fun Saturday, most fun weekend of the year, in my opinion, is championship weekend.
Yeah, it's up there. I don't know. Last year, first round of the playoffs did hit like crack.
Yeah, but they were all blowouts. Is the problem?
They were all blowouts, but just the anticipation of the day. Like, you started with Penn State, SMU. You went right into what was after that.
With Notre Dame, Indiana the night before.
Notre Dame, Indiana the night before in the snow. Oh,
yeah, the day that I graduated. It was a very fun weekend.
Right, and then you had the Tennessee Ohio State game. There was one more game,
which was catharsis for me.
Yeah, wasn't there one more game?
Yes, there was. It was Clemson, Texas.
That's the one you forget about because who cared? You know.
Well, they were all blowouts.
I mean, but it was. This year, I don't know that they'll all be blowouts.
I don't know if you get James Madison and Tulane in there.
That's why they shouldn't go, bro. You're telling me that Miami can't go and James Madison and Tulane should?
That's exactly what I was saying. I know I sound like an elitist. I hate the common man. I don't. I promise. I just want to get the best teams in.
Yeah, I just want to see good football. Because A&M's going to get hosed. They're going to host Notre Dame in the first round.
Yeah, dropping them that low screwed them. That's the difference between playing Virginia and playing Alabama.
Bro, when they were hanging on to the 3 seed, it was looking like a scenario where they were going to, like, this was what the bracket was at that point. Obviously, it's not this anymore, but it was like first round matchup was Texas Tech versus North Texas. And then A&M got the winner of that in the second round. Like, sign me up. I mean, I'd rather play Texas Tech than anybody in the SEC or the Big Ten for the most part that's getting into the playoff. So, or Notre Dame for that matter. Sign me up for that. Or if somehow North Texas wins it, even better. Plus, it would have set up the storylines for the Lone Star State. Well, and
that's also
true.
I
mean, they're all Texas schools. It would have been sick. Now A&M's going to have to play Notre Dame. At least you get a rematch.
And you get them at home.
Of week 2, and it's at Kyle Field. The first one was in South Bend. I think they'd beat Notre Dame. I think they could beat Notre Dame, but it's hard to beat a team twice.
It would be close. I'd be fascinated to know what the line on that would be. I would probably say like Texas A&M -2.5.
Only because they're at home.
Exactly.
Yeah, I do think A&M's gotten better throughout the year. So has Notre Dame, though. I'll say this: if they played, it is not going to be a 42-41 final or whatever. 41 to 40.
It's going to be 20-13.
Yeah, like it would be a completely different football game
for sure.
But anyway, we'll talk to everybody later in the week. Raza, where can the good people find us?
In case you forgot, which would be easy too, it's been a minute. At Got It Covered FB on all social media platforms. Right. We gotta get back in action, which we will. Again, appreciate everybody who was patient and stayed with us through a couple of busy weeks of travel and business and holidays and all this stuff. But we're back, and this is the time to be talking about college football. So don't miss a beat. At Got It Covered FB on all socials.
We got you covered.